I think in love, oftentimes we overlook people. We don't have time to really test everybody we come across who's interested or interesting. So we make a snap judgment. We just go, yeah, that's not it. That's not it. And this is necessary. But instead of feeling rejected by something like that, I think it's appropriate to just feel overlooked. Because the person's not really looked you over and gone, is this a good fit? No, they're just like, one little thing about you is all they're like, that's not for me. And that's not an evaluation. I've heard of many people who said no to their eventual partners the first time, and that the perseverity of that partner won them over. It's much more painful when you've been with someone for 6 months and they say, this trait that you have is irreconcilable for me. I cannot deal with this. Ooh, that's more. But it's not bad either, because that's a more potent and more significant learning experience, right? If you really do have a trait that's a deal breaker for somebody, one, you learn to not ever date somebody like that again and find out if that's a deal breaker early on so you don't waste time in the future. Or two, if it's not really a core trait of who you are, it's really just some sort of trauma-induced damage, some sort of bad pattern that you don't really want to have anyway, well, hey, there's something to work on. There's always a positive way to spin being rejected, or try to restore reality in such a way that we rejected them or we didn't feel rejected. And that's what our identity protective cognition does to defend our sense of self. It's very natural, but it's not terribly wise or productive. I think the most productive thing to do with all these situations is stay curious and keep learning about yourself and about others. Why are there so many people in this world and yet we struggle to find companionship so much? Why is it a difficult thing to pair up when that's kind of seemingly what we're programmed to do? We just want a partner, but we just can't seem to settle on anybody. It's occurred to me that the whole concept of settling versus choosing is built on romantic idealism with an unattainable, idealistic concept of meeting a perfect match or a godly match. The best, right? The perfect. The projection of your anima or animos, your projection of your soul upon another human being is what's going on here. And that's not about romance or love or relationship. That's about your personal spiritual evolution. Now, relationships do help us with our personal spiritual evolution, but in this case, when you're projecting on somebody else, you're not seeing them, you're seeing whatever of the projection they can seemingly hold. This psychological pattern either helps you grow into that projection, like you become strong enough to take that projection on yourself, and you don't need someone else to hold it for you anymore, which is why opposites attract in a way. It's why people who have different skills and talents than we do are so attractive to us, because we're trying to grow, we're trying to expand into a sense of completeness. That would be the healthy way to go. Or in the unhealthy way, you reject that person. Eventually you find out that person doesn't really hold the mantle of the projections I was putting on them. I totally didn't see that person clearly. They were not nearly as good as I thought they were. Well, that's your fault, buddy. All that being said, obviously there are practical relationship issues to be figured out, and there are deal breakers or things that are just not practical. But as far as settling or not, that's a romantic idealistic terminology that creates a dichotomous situation between actually being in a relationship, settling, and always seeking the perfect one whom you will never find, because that perfection does not exist outside of your mind. Can you contort your mind to maintain that projection on another human being for the rest of your life? Possibly, but you'll never be seeing the true them. They may resent you for it, they may reject you for it. So really, romantic idealism must be torn down at the roots. It must be completely torn down, because it prevents you from having a relationship, real relationship. It's about self-actualization. So work on your self-actualization. Use the romantic projections to grow into yourself. But don't expect perfection from somebody else. Don't expect somebody else to be the perfected image of your soul, of your masculine or feminine soul. It's not going to happen. In the end, we all settle on somebody who we choose to be with, because the relationship is worth it. The relationship is good. It is healthy. It meets so many of our needs that we are willing to sacrifice the rest of our freedom and choices to invest in that, to grow that. That's what relationship is. Romantic idealism gets in the way. So this gambit that has been posed by romantic idealistic literature is a problem. It's a death sentence to relationship. He's just jaded. He just got spurned by love. He never found the one. Okay. All right. That's what I thought. That's what I thought for the first 20 years of my romantic life about other people. But no, this is kind of just like factually reality. The romantic projection will not allow you to settle on any human being. It only will settle for a perfect soul being, which doesn't exist, because it's part of you. It's not somebody else. You're going to wake up to realize there are only human beings here to partner with. Those are the only options you got. Don't ask somebody else to be your tool for spiritual growth. They can support you in that if they choose, but romantic idealism forces them into a box. And that's why we all have to grow out of that concept in order to be in real relationship. Now, real relationship is the way I understand it, provides much more. It provides the challenges. It provides somebody who will actually call you out on your bullshit and help you become more aware of who you really are. Not the projection of self, but the real self as it's being lived in the world. That is a more powerful growing tool than romantic idealistic projection ever was.